So Facebook is now Meta. Meta. So what does that mean? What's next? What will be their lead revenue generator? Is there cause for concern? Find out now in our latest Diamond Hands podcast. All right, welcome to the Diamond Hands podcast, a TDR podcast for the week of October the 25th. I'm your host, Shad Dales. Before we get into details of this podcast, a reminder that all views on the Diamond Hands podcast and the guests on this podcast are purely opinion. You should not treat any opinions expressed by us or our guests as investment advice. The views on this podcast are solely intended to be informational and are not investment advice. Joining me as usual, Anthony Verrill, millennial entrepreneur. How are you, sir?
Can't complain.
It's awesome. Good stuff. Let's begin. Crypto. With that being said, over the past couple of podcasts, we've talked about Ethereum being the biggest potential of growth. This week reached all-time highs of over $4,400. So knowing that Ethereum is much different than Bitcoin, why is it reaching all-time highs? Because on Friday we saw Ethereum go up and Bitcoin go down.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is don't get me wrong, I like being right, but I mean, on this, I was pretty damn right. I mean, the thing is the conversations that are happening, the conversations that are happening, and the thing that I've always found attractive about Ethereum, it's a scalable technology.
Yeah.
It's not a store of value. It's not what Bitcoin is perceived as. It's a scalable technology that the likes of Mark Cuban, Elon Musk, I mean, the geniuses of our generation and the people that are driving the technological forces of today, they understand it, they see the potential, and it's in the conversation. These guys don't want to talk about Bitcoin.
No.
I mean, Bitcoin's great, but these guys are technologists. These guys understand what's going to propel us into the future, and that is, as of right now, Ethereum. And that's why I'm going to continue to invest in it. The conversation, I don't think, is going to slow down, and it wouldn't surprise me if we hit 5K. Or upwards next week in Ethereum.
So new age, new money, new investment opportunities. I know we've asked you before, but again, if you're sitting down with a group of people and you're explaining what Ethereum is, what it does, and why there's such huge potential opportunity for like tech, entrepreneurs like Mark Cuban, what's the unique selling point that you say to that investing audience?
It's simple. Ethereum is what the Web3, NFT, metaverse, blockchain, it's what everything is being built on top of. You are essentially investing in the operating system of the next internet, per se. I mean, I know that sounds grandiose. I know that sounds very, very, I guess, arrogant to an extent, but you are investing in what that movement and that next wave of technologies are being built on. And I mean, that's something that not only I want exposure to, but everybody that's taking crypto very seriously and building a portfolio, they want exposure to it as well, and they're going to continue to invest in it, and they're going to continue to build on top of it.
Well, when you talk about building on top of that with NFTs, interesting what's going on next week, as you said, world's biggest NFT conference taking place. It's NFT.NYC in New York City. You have big Fortune 500 brands sponsoring this event. So first question, why are you going?
I'm going to learn. I mean, I was big into crypto back in 2017, and then the first time I went to BTC Miami, I see it as a source of information. I see it as a source to connect with a lot of the people that I follow on Twitter and that I converse with on Twitter, that are fund managers, that are building projects in the space, that are investors in the space. I'm going to meet with the likes of CAA, Sotheby's, A16Z while we're there. So it's basically a no-holds-barred approach to the sector, just diving in for the week, and it's going to be everything NFT.
That's awesome. Well, I was going to ask some of the things that you look to achieve, and it states the obvious from what you just said. One of the NFTs that you own is called Bored Apes Yacht Club, which consists of 10,000 Ethereum-based NFTs. So why did you buy into this project?
I bought into it because it was a blue chip I invested in. I prefer to start with a blue chip play versus get highly speculative, kind of learn the lay of the land, and then create a strategy from there. One of the funny parts, or not one of the funny, but one of the interesting parts about NFT.NYC is there's actually going to be events for the Bored Apes Yacht Club that are invite only, and your pass into the events are your NFT. So, I mean, there
Ah,
is a real life use case to a lot of these NFTs, especially the ones that are creating community and the ones that are really building on top of that. So, I mean, NFTs have multiple functionalities, but I mean, the way that you can really boil it down to its core in its simplest form, I mean, it's an access pass to a community, whether in the digital world or whether in the real world.
so how do you determine the difference between, say, a blue chip NFT and one that's not?
I mean, you look at roadmaps, you look at the development team behind it. I mean, you look at what they've done and where they're going. Bored Apes minted for a very cheap price, and they started to appreciate very quickly. Full disclosure, I mean, I wasn't one of the people that minted a Bored Ape. I bought in at around 7 Ethereum, and I mean, the price of the one that I have right now is around anywhere from 70 to 90. But I mean, that's serious appreciation. But yeah, I mean, it's all about roadmap, and I mean, also it's a lot about the aesthetic and really, do you believe in that community or not?
We talk about a lot of emerging industries: cannabis, psychedelics, crypto, Bitcoin, Ethereum. Is this the space that you think both short term and long term has like biggest opportunity in your eyes with what you're focusing on right now?
I mean, I think it has the largest addressable market. If you go back to my previous comments about Ethereum with the new Web 3.0 being built on top of it, and you pair in the
Yeah,
metaverse, which Facebook just went all in on yesterday, and the NFT movement that's just snowballing. I
yeah,
mean, when you look at NFTs, NFTs really are a digital representation of IP. So if I'm a rapper, if I'm a sports team, if I'm a brand, I mean, if I want to have another extension of my product and put my brand front and center and start to create and curate a community and another extension of it, I'm going to leverage NFTs. If I'm Interscope Records and I want to engage with my consumers in the
yeah,
metaverse
yeah,
that's not here today, but it is coming,
yeah.
I'm going to create an NFT collection, or I'm going to create an experiential experience inside the metaverse. And the best way to do that is via the NFT.
Well, look at last week. Bucks are playing the Bears. Tom Brady throws his 600th career touchdown. Fan obviously gets the football from Mike Evans. What was Mike Evans thinking? But whatever. Guy walked away with one Bitcoin, and then
Yeah, I mean that was yeah.
yeah, exactly.
That,
But
that, that, that was a piece of history that Mike Evans just gave away.
what would you have done if you're the fan?
I would have walked out of the stadium with it. Yeah, I would have been
Like
called an
right away?
asshole. Yeah, I would have been. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I would have understood the gravity of what I was holding in my hand and just walked out of there. I mean, Tom Brady has the resources. He probably would find me.
Yeah.
And I mean, if he wants it, give me $500,000, which is probably what I could sell it for on the secondary market.
So, buddy,
Not to sound like an opportunist, but it's not every day that you get a $500,000 asset that just happens to land in your hand,
yeah, 100%.
out of nowhere.
First conversation that gets going Monday night on ESPN2 at the Manning brothers. Tom Brady shows up and they start talking. When is that going to turn into an NFT? So, for those still
Yeah.
trying to learn, you want to go out, you want to buy an NFT. It's a hot trend right now. It's not going anywhere. The conference is a prime example. How would they go about doing that?
Your first step would be having an Ethereum wallet. So whether it's on Coinbase or KuCoin or Gemini, I mean, you need a web-based application to where you have an Ethereum wallet. Once you have that Ethereum that you've purchased and that's inside that wallet, you then would download and deploy a MetaMask, which is another digital wallet that can simultaneously hold your NFTs and your cryptocurrency
Yep.
that you're actually going to use to buy the NFTs. And then you would either go to OpenSea, Nifty Gateway, or any of the other NFT marketplaces, plug in with your MetaMask, and then you can bid, buy it now, or mint any NFT that you would want. It's not as arduous of a process as it sounds. I mean, downloading these applications and getting everything set up really would only take probably 10 minutes
Yeah.
for a non-tech savvy person. But I mean, yeah, it's a function of spinning up multiple wallets, buying the Ethereum, and then having that MetaMask as your intermediary to where you can transact on the marketplaces. And then you can buy, sell, transfer, hold, do whatever you want with NFTs.
Well, good to know as we're learning more about NFTs. I want to switch my attention now. Needless to say, this topic is a topic of conversation probably in every household across the world this week. We saw basically Facebook go out and rebrand themselves to Meta. Interesting to say the least, like a lot of feedback to say the least. But first off, when it came to the rebranding, before we get into like what this might mean moving forward, what was your thoughts of it? What do you think of the rebranding?
Um, I mean, I think it's smart. I think
Why?
it's a
Why
lot
is
of
it
people
smart?
expected this
Just because of all the shit
because
they've gone through?
Facebook right now is the most hated
Yeah.
name in tech.
Yeah.
I mean, Facebook is synonymous with stealing consumers' privacy. Facebook is synonymous with fake news campaigns, with media manipulation, with rigging the elections. I can go down and down and down the list. Facebook's reputation right now is tarnished.
We know obviously the guy can do pretty much anything, but do you think he can do this in this situation? Like trust is a huge thing right now.
Yeah, he's got money. He's got the resources. He's got the human capital to build it. He's also got Oculus, which is probably one of the most advanced VR technologies. He's also got the hardware as
Yeah.
well to match. So I mean, if you really wanted to bet on someone that's going to build an immersive experience that's going to look like the movie Ready Player One, I mean, I don't think Facebook is going to be a bad bet. Now, do I want that to happen? No. I mean, does anybody that's really a
Yeah.
crypto
Yeah.
degenerate or anybody that's really enthralled in the metaverse want that to happen? No, not at all. I'd like Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook to get as far away from it as possible.
So what do you what are your concerns then? You know, besides the obvious of him obviously stealing personal information from people, what is the concern?
My concern is everybody has a price, especially in business. And I mean, like I said, he's got more resources than God. So, I mean, if I'm a metaverse developer, if I'm one of these blockchains that's starting to really scale, I mean, Mark Zuckerberg can pick up the phone, call you, and say, "Hey, I'm going to give you $3 billion. What do you think?" I mean, it's a pretty compelling argument. I mean, if you look at that giant corporation in movies such as Skynet or any of these like ominous, omnipotent like tech figures, Facebook just made the step to essentially become that. I wouldn't be surprised if you see Google announce some sort of intricate metaverse strategy here next.
Yeah, that's for sure. Let's focus on the psychedelic industry. I know it's been, as we've said, and I don't want to like, beat a dead horse as we continue to say this week in and week out, but interesting feedback I got this week about, the question's always asked, when is Big Pharma going to be moving in? And a number of CEOs I spoke with actually said, forget Big Pharma. Once a lot of these trials end into a phase 2 and we get into a phase 3, they think all those trials will actually be funded by insurance companies. And that should be the question about how insurance companies are actually going to be coming in a lot sooner rather than later. And that's going to happen a lot quicker than you think. Do you believe that? They're saying with positive, obviously, feedback and trials, the insurance companies want to start funding a lot of these trials. And if there's positive feedback and they can save money, it's like the insurance companies are the ones that actually are going to get involved before Big Pharma does.
I mean, there's nothing I would like to see less than them come in here and fuck this up to the degree that they have everything else.
Yeah, well, I found it interesting. I heard that not from one but two CEOs this week, and they're like, "Yeah, the question always gets brought up about how soon Big Pharma is going to come in." I think honestly, when we get to a phase 3, they thought flat out the insurance companies are actually going to be funding a lot of these phase 3 trials, and there's staggering evidence based on strong data that'll like prove that point even more. But I found it rather interesting to say the least to think, is it a possibility?
I I find it intriguing. I mean, I find it intriguing. You partially probably just changed my thesis on future capital flowing into psychedelics, but I mean that also scares me. I don't want them to sink their claws into this at all.